Good evening. Thank you for being here for this meeting tonight. Would you please stand for a moment's silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Are there any changes, amendments, additions, or deletions to the agenda?
I have two. Need to pull item 8.11 and item 10.04 for no action this evening. We'll bring those back at a later time.
All right. Board members, do you have anything? All right, seeing none. All right. Then approval of the minutes, Superintendent?
Recommend approval of the minutes from the special school board meeting, January 7th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
And we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. Under representation now, District Spotlight. Miss Sherry Owens is coming forward.
Tonight, we're going to be featuring restorative practices, which is explained in the video, so I won't give too much of it away.
Lake County Schools has implemented the use of restorative practices to strengthen relationships in our schools. While restorative practices can be used to restore harmony when a student has committed certain behavioral infractions, the ultimate goal is to create a caring culture among all stakeholders, students with students, students with adults, and adults with one another.
Restorative practices are practices that are utilized to help repair harm. There are also practices that strengthen relationships when harm is done or when we're trying to establish trust and build relationships with others. We're using restorative practices to create a common language. We're also providing support for our schools in professional learning opportunities to deepen knowledge and to embed it in our existing instructional practices.
My goals when we meet in the check-in circle for them to get in touch with how their day's going and get their mind ready for the day. I've seen the motivation pick up with each kid. I've seen them ready to work and see their drive.
A culture that urges students to work hard in school and to do well academically is important. But it's equally important that students are in a trusting learning environment absent of harsh public reprimands, sarcasm, favoritism, and humiliation, even when students misbehave and break the rules. That's the thinking behind Youth Court at Tiberi's Middle School.
But what you are doing is considered bullying, and that can lead to a lot of things like suicide and a lot of things because they could take that very personally. So you realize what you could do could have took someone's life if they would have took it very personally, or they wouldn't have had understanding parents that helped them through it.
A notable feature of restorative practice is the effort devoted to repairing relationships when a wrong has been committed. The entire community is involved since damage to an individual is seen as harmful to the entire group. Rather than facing banishment, the offender has a path forward to make amends, to re-establish trustworthiness with the victim and the community.
Well, developing Youth Court, it really came down to when I started in the school, what kind of programs could I assist with as a deputy to put together and involve the kids. I went to the APs that are at the school and said, what do you think? And they were all for it, and they kind of let me do my thing.
Check-in circles, youth court, class circles, class meetings, conversations to rescue trust. These are the many forms restorative practice can take. Already, many of our schools are changing culture in a positive way using these strategies. And it's not just students. Teachers are using restorative practice in their community circle to talk about how they will support students academically this semester.
The goal of today's Restorative Circle is to help build community amongst our faculty member through equity of voice. We believe that all of our voices deserve to be heard. However, we must create a structure to provide equity amongst all of our faculty members. It's really helped build community at Leesburg High School and helped build trust amongst administrators and the teachers, because it's very powerful when an administrator comes in and apologizes to his staff for something that he or she may have done. For example, earlier this year, we had an assembly that was a little more impromptu than some of our faculty members would have liked. At the next Jacket University, we started off with an apology and just said, hey, we apologize. We know that this kind of happened short notice. We gave the background reason and they understood. But again, it was very powerful just having the principal willing to admit his mistake in front of the entire faculty.
We look forward to having many more schools come on board and incorporate restorative practices for their students and staff. When we build community and repair relationships when harm has occurred, we believe we will see a decrease in the need for suspensions and expulsions and an increase in student achievement. A caring learning environment is a thriving learning environment.
Thank you. Very well done.
A great job, and I just want to thank Katie Pearson and her team, who really are the founders for us in restorative practices. Did a lot of research on things that we could do to help build relationships within our schools and amongst students and faculties, and so this was her work, and so we appreciate all you're doing, Katie.
I like the little idea there about being able to keep detentions and other things down by being able to do this. And it's another thing, what you brought out in that also was about if an administrator makes a mistake, that they're willing to own up to the mistake, and it gains the respect of the staff as well. So that's great. All right, our next is 4.02, District High School Athletic Recognition, Mr. Don Hogan, our District Athletic Director.
Good evening, Superintendent, school board, and parents. Tonight we'd like to recognize an outstanding accomplishment by one of our student athletes, Ryan Ward from Southlake High School. Mr. Gamble, could I ask you to come up and present his medal? Ryan was the 1A state champion in bowling this year. He helped Southlake bowling team compile a 16-2 record this year. He broke a 15-year Lake County record with an average of 249 per game during the district tournament. Ryan won 5 matches at the state tournament. Ryan is also the first bowling state champion from Lake County ever, and he was named Mr. Bowling by the state of Florida sports writers, and he's been invited to participate in the United States High School Bowling Championships in June. Let's give him a round of applause.
Basketball standout at Eustis High School. Mandy Schaefer. Congratulations. Mom, Dad. Thank you. Maybe you'll make some money for us. I hope so. Good job. I didn't know Miss Schaefer, though, was a bowler. I knew she was a basketball player, but I didn't know she was a bowler. But also his principal was here. I forgot to mention that as well. But we're glad that they're all here. And I take it that you'll be going to college bowling as well, right? Yeah. And I think this is great whenever we have athletes that maybe they're not on the football field or the, as you say, the gridiron or the basketball court or baseball field, but they're out there in some athletic event. And this helps their parents, when it comes to college, be able to get a scholarship that will help their wallet. So we appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Hogan, for recognizing. All right, at this time we have public input, and I have one card that I would take it would be under that, and that is Mr. Stuart Klatt, the president of the LCEA.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's here we are recognizing a student athlete who's done extremely well, and we have athletes in all of our schools who are excelling in many different sports on and off the field. And it's deserving that we give all of them kudos. But their coaches deserve our appreciation and thanks for the hundreds of hours spent before and after school developing a student's talent in order for them to achieve success. These coaches do the work because of the love of the sport and the dedication to working with their students. It should be noted, though, that athletic supplements have not increased in Lake County for over 10 years. It's a topic that's brought up every year at bargaining, and it's always, do you want an increase of supplement or a raise because we only have an X amount of pot of money? Well, and I've heard everyone sitting up here saying that teachers deserve raises, they deserve more of what we can do. A budget is your priority. So it's a recognition to the public what it is that we find important. Now, I've heard, well, we have to blame Tallahassee and the state legislature. They're not good to schools, and that's true. But we've heard that now for 10 years. Have we not created or time to look at what we can do different than continue to play the same game, wait for Tallahassee to tell us there's no money, then pass down that there's no money, and that we only have X amount of money to give either supplements for our hardworking coaches and school and club sponsors or a raise? I mean, that's a very difficult choice to make, and especially when coaches and club sponsors put in hundreds of hours to the benefit of their students in recognition of the school, generating students going to school on scholarships, so that there's a major cost benefit here. So let's rethink what we do with our budgets. Reward our athletic coaches for the countless hours that they spend developing our students into mature men and women that our community can be proud of. On a side note, there is definitely the issue of retention versus recruitment. We all know of teacher shortage throughout the state, and that we're going to have to look at ways that we better train our teachers, keep them, retain them here in Lake County, rather than recruiting over and over again. So feel free to give me a call with any questions, comments, additions, deletions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And believe me, I know about the coaching side, especially when you volunteer. All right. We are at attorney reports.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this time of year I usually get different groups or people sending me proposed bills. I assume all of y'all have different sources for getting those too. I got a couple in the last week I thought were interesting, or might be something, if you haven't already taken a look at them, might do so. One of them has to do with holding meetings and public input. Senator Rader's introduced. I think that's Senate Bill 518. It it seems like at least the tenor of it is that it's granting some additional rights in the public to participate in the meetings, but when you look at it, it really does, it would be lessening of what we already do to follow the mandates of that particular bill. I mean, we do more than is being asked for, so I'm not exactly sure where that one's going to. And then if you're interested, I can get you a copy. There's been a bill introduced locally to deals with guns on campus. If you have any interest in that, I'd be happy to get it to you or tell you what I know of after having read it. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. We have no unfinished business, so we are at 8 under new business consent agenda. Superintendent?
Recommend approval of a consent agenda items 8.01 to 8.10, 8.12 to 10.03, and 10.05 to 10.08.
So I don't think you excluded 8.02.
Oh,
I'm sorry?
Which one?
She did 8.01 to 8.10, but we have to exclude 8.02.
No, we pulled 8.11 and 10.04.
Oh, I had circled 8.02. Sorry, I circled the wrong one.
So 8.01 to 8.10, 8.12 to 10.3, and then 10.5 to 10.8. All right?
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, number 11 is discussion. Recommendation for 2 honorary roadway signs for Aurelia M. Cole on Excalibur Road in Claremont. Superintendent?
So this request is actually coming from the Student Government Association at East Ridge High School. They were looking for a way to honor Aurelia Cole. She was the former principal there at East Ridge High School. And so they submitted a request that we then in turn submitted to the city of Claremont, asking if they would consider either changing the road sign, the name of the road from Excalibur Road to the Aurelia Cole Parkway. It was a very extensive process, as we learned going through that, and a very expensive process as well. So they submitted back to us and said, would the Government Association consider if they placed an honorary road sign on each of the ends of Excalibur, one coming from each direction, which would read Honorary Roadway Aurelia M. Cole, Esteemed Educator, Lake County Schools 2019. So this request is coming to you on behalf of the Student Government Association, asking that we approve the funding request, which was very inexpensive. And so I'm asking for your approval of the recommendation for the 2 honorary roadway signs for Aurelia M. Cole on Excalibur Road.
So moved.
We missed you.
Considering
Who was
the
here to
meeting
say
is-
that without you being here?
All right.
I'll second with discussion.
Okay, you've got a motion and a second with discussion. Go ahead.
I just want to say I think it's really awesome that young people are taking notice of something to that extent and wanting to recognize her. It's like it's one thing for the SAC committees to come together in the community, but to see our high school students wanting to get involved, I think is pretty special.
I agree.
I'm all for it.
All right. We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, superintendent report.
All right, well, today we kicked off Literacy Week in our schools and across the state. And so throughout the week, some schools will be doing some innovative things. I know that you'll probably be reading in some of our schools during the week. I know that I will. And be sure to check out our Facebook and Twitter pages using the hashtag LCS Lit Week to see all the activities. And if you have any photos of wherever you are, we'd love for you to post them so we can continue to celebrate literacy this week. I also want to remind everyone about our Become a Teacher information session coming up on Wednesday, January 30th. This is an opportunity for everyone who has considered education as a career or would like to consider it to ask questions, get answers, and find a pathway to certification. This will be conducted by Kiana Peterson, and she's our instructional recruiter. And she's worked very hard to pull this together, and we're excited about the possibility of getting some new teachers, certified teachers in our schools. Lastly, we want to remind you that we do have a workshop scheduled for next Monday, February the 4th. Our topics include growth planning updates. That was one of the requests of the board, to talk about some of the growth and how we're dealing with that and plan to deal with that. And we've got some budget updates and forecasting coming. This will be the first of many conversations as we head into the 1920 budgeting season. The allocations will be coming to you, and the revised internal audit plan from Mr. Mock is also on the agenda. It'll be a full agenda.
All right.
We have a few letters of condolences. I just heard you say February 4th. I wanted to make sure I had the date right, but I'm pretty sure it's Monday, February 4th. Am I correct? Is that all right with you, Mr. Johnson? All right, good deal. All right, letters of condolences that were sent. Antoinette, and Mr. Gamble, you're going to have to help me with the pronunciation of this last name, but Jacalone.
Gia Cologne.
I thought you might know
I don't
the
know.
family.
Huh? That's him.
Jaya
Jacalone.
Cologne.
Thank
Guess
you.
what he said. This is the mother of Paul, and our maintenance technician, maintenance and operations south, and so condolences to his family and the loss of their mother. Also, brother of Tara Williams. Tara is a teacher at Groveland Elementary. She lost her brother, Richard Edwards. Condolences went to her family, and also to the family of Wally Bain, who was a retired Lake County educator. Condolences to his family and his wife, Lynn. That was it.
All right. Board comments, Mr. Mathias.
Yeah, I really appreciate y'all moving right through this agenda. So I apologize for being late, but I was attending the Masonic Lodge 85, and they had a forum and on safety and security. So to a packed house, I was able to make quick introductions and then get over here. But the sheriff is there, our own James Roy is there, Lieutenant Meisinger, and Major Hall. And so I was the first speaker, so they're just kicking it off. So they started a few minutes late. But it is amazing and appreciative to see people that have no kids, because these are pretty much older folks, but genuinely are concerned about the safety and security of our kids, and particularly excited that they participated in voting for the .75 mil, that we will get ahead of the mental health issue with those kids most at risk. So it was an honor to be there, and I apologize to the board for being late.
That's okay. You were taking care of business. That's the main thing. Ms. Luke?
I have a couple of things, and I'll just tag on to what Mr. Mathias said. I wanted to thank the superintendent and the principals of the Umatilla area schools. Today they went to the Kiwanis Club, and the superintendent gave a presentation on the state of the district and the Umatilla area schools. And then she opened it up for questions. And it was funny, I didn't tell you this earlier, but one of the Kiwanians called me before the meeting and just said, so we've got some people that asked some pretty hard questions. And I'm like, she can take it. She's really good at that. You're fine. We got you. So he was like, okay, well, you said she could handle it. And obviously she did. But again, what the biggest concern that came out of this group was student safety. And they were very pleased to see the report on safety, and that every school has a police officer or a sheriff's resource officer or a guardian that is former military and police. And they were even asking some questions about how do we do better? How do we do more? So, and these are also an older crowd. So not really in particular, they don't have children, maybe grandchildren. But so I appreciate you guys coming to do that. I know that community is making some great strides forward with supporting the schools, and the principals are doing great. And our own elementary principal was voted the vice president of the Kiwanis League today while we were there. So they're doing some really good community engagement things. I also wanted to send a shout out to Dwayne Weeks and two of his people, David Haas and Jane Chappie. They came last Wednesday to a group of educators that are graduating in May to teach them about Google Classroom, and we talked about the Chromebooks today. That was one of the things that superintendent spoke about, and how big that movement is. And these students are going to come out into the world of education Google certified and ready to use some of those things. And I cannot tell you the exciting things that they do with those products. And so just knowing that that's the training that's going out to our schools and our teachers is really exciting. Tomorrow night, Robin Myers is coming to speak to it started out as our students that graduated already. They come back almost monthly. we don't pay them, we feed them, which is the key to everything. But they drive their own learning and they tell us what they need and we kind of give it to them. And tomorrow night they ask for help with how to deal with severe behaviors. And so Robin Myers is coming out. She actually told me today she's going to bring 2 members of her staff. So it's amazing what Chick-fil-A will do. But we even opened that up to our seniors that are graduating in May as well, because last week, some of the things that they were sharing was their inability to handle behavior. So we hope that it'll be a packed house tomorrow night. I think we have like 35 coming, and again, that's free. They're putting in their own time, so we're super excited about that. And then I did have Natalie share with you guys an article about the state testing. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it yet, but I sent it to her today and asked her to share it just because it looks like there might be a bill that's coming up in regards to something to do with testing, and we know that teachers aren't able to pass the certification exam, and we've had to fire so many, and we have a teacher shortage, and we're talking about retention, and so I thought that was pretty timely, and I asked Natalie to share it with you guys, so you'd be in the loop. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank the district for working on the restorative practices and highlighting it today. It's been a priority of mine since I started. I've gone to the FSBA workshops. I've seen other counties that have implemented restorative practices. And as it was said in the video, that they hope that it will decrease suspensions and keep kids in school. And these other counties have seen that it really even increases graduation rates, because we're creating a culture where kids want to be there. We're creating a way for children to apologize, or even adults to apologize, and everyone should be able to say, hey, I messed up and I want to make this better. And I just think that the fact that we are finally really launching into restorative practices is absolutely the direction we need to be going in, and will absolutely help with both our student safety and our goals as Lake County and getting our kids to be educated in the best way possible. So I was just really excited by this particular presentation, so thank you very much.
That's it?
That's all.
Okay. All right. I just want to say that I was thinking tomorrow, but I'm a day ahead. Wednesday and Thursday, I'll be reading. Wednesday at Treadway, Thursday at Lost Lake. Friday, we'll be at Mount Dora First Baptist Church with the science. So a lot of things happening this week in the school system, as the superintendent talked about, starting the reading across the area. Also, I just want to say something, too, about our school safety that Mr. Mathias talked about a little bit, that we have 2 people on board with us, Jim Roy and Mark Palmer, former deputy with Lake County here. And my understanding in talking to Jimmer, that with some of the things that he has put together as far as strategically of how we should do things and how we should grade things when we do these tests that we do to make sure that the kids are getting out safely and we're doing things correctly, that he's going to be recognized through the state with that, because he's one of the first ones to do something of this nature here, and they're taking some of that platform there and looking at it, how can they create others throughout the state the same way as far as grading. So we're leading the way, I feel, with some of what we're doing with this, and I appreciate Jimmer and Mark for all that they do, and with John Carr also, because, you know, somebody's got to be at the top taking the blame if it's bad, isn't it? So, but we appreciate that. But there again, our main goal is to keep the kids in Lake County safe, and that's what we want to do. Thank you. This is goodbye.